how's it going? So I'm going to be doing a French haircut, and I just got some new Balton Shears in. They're what's a 6.25, so they're a little bit on the shorter side, which is good for precision cutting. And I'm doing a slight A-line lob, and I'm going to be doing some disconnected layers through the back side and then connecting in through the sides of the head. And I'm actually going to start her haircut from the front, and I am going to turn her head to the side, and I'm kind of using the front as my guide with how short I want the back to be. So just taking everything in one long stride. And I'm using this as a guide, so where her old layers are, that's my guide for her length right here. So that's going to be the guide. Starting here, and I'm going to kind of cut right on top of my hand. So I'm just going to walk my way back to the nape area. And I'll be doing the same thing on the other side. And before I continue on, I always kind of check with the other side and just see how that feels. And a lot of times I preserve a little more length on the opposite side just so that I have some wiggle room. So I'm going to go into that a little bit more. A little bit more length, so I'm just going to match this side up a little bit more. So like I was saying before, I'm going slightly asymmetrical, so I'm just going a little bit shorter as I get to the back of the head. And I stop right when I get about 2 finger widths behind the ear. That's where I stop my guide, and then I'll turn her around and I'll go through the back end of the hair. Perfect. All right, and then once I get those sides matched up, I just turn her around, and then I'll just tip her head forward, and I'll use this side as a guide into the center. So I'll start in the center, and then I have this line that I can kind of keep my eye on. So I'm starting up here, and I'm meeting that guide on the other end. So I'm cutting right on top of my hand at an angle, right toward the outside there. And then I'll hold it straight down over the top of her body, and I'll just cut it right on top of her. That's her connection. I'll do the same thing for the other side. I'll bring everything straight down. My finger is at an angle. My hand is reaching the top of this layer, so it's telling me exactly where to go. I'm starting my guide on the outside, and I'm walking my way in on the inside. Now that I've got these connected, I can just cut the rest of it right on her neck. So I tip her head forward just a tiny bit more, and I pull everything straight down on top of her. And I cut right on top of her skin. And check this side as well. And you notice as I'm bringing this hair back, I'm rounding it, I'm pulling it off and rounding it just so that it's not, I don't want to end up over directing this, or I end up over directing it because I don't want to cut square into that. If I cut square into it, then I'm going to have a hole that jumps up. Okay, go and have a seat. Sorry. Since most of her cut, the focus is going to be on the back side of the head, I'm starting her guide from the back. So right where her part line is, from ear to ear, I'm taking the very top of her section here with the smaller tooth part of my comb, and I'm bringing everything up high interior. So I'm using the top as my guide. I'm really not taking length off of the top. I'm taking it from the underneath. And I'm just following my guide all the way through. As the head starts to round, so right through here, as the head starts to round further and you kind of reach that divot, and usually it's about 3 to 4 finger widths behind the ear, that's where I start over directing it, and that's kind of where her angle starts to change as well. So now I'm bringing everything up and into my guide that I started in the back of her head. So you'll have less and less hair to cut off through there. 6 1/4 inch shears. I'm still cutting with my hands directly inside. So my hands are the blades, the shears itself are tucked all the way down into my fingers. Now I'm over directing because I'm reaching the round of her head. And then this is my guide for the rest of it. And the main thing, and this is what I see happen often when it comes to A-lines, a lot of times people want to grab this entire area and they want to dive down and they want to cut all that off. The reason why that's not good is because this will jump up and you'll have all of your layers sitting up here, and then you'll have very little layers sitting down here, and it causes this to flip out. So what I do is I push the head forward, I grab the hair from underneath, and I pull it up into my guide. So this is all being over directed. So now I'm just cutting this portion here. When I let it go, if you watch it, I'll do this slowly one more time. If you pull this up here, when I let it go, notice how the way it falls is it falls like this. So the stacking happens up here. The more you want the stacking, the higher you're gonna take your guide up here. This is all coming from the top of the head, not from down here. So that's one of the biggest things that I see happen when it comes to stacking A-lines or just trying to get weight taken out, is that you want to pull the hair up higher. The good news is that with the round of the head, that's what makes it graduate to begin with, so you don't need to encourage it. And that's the other thing, I'm still over directing as I get to the back of the head, to the bottom underneath section. Okay, so that's the back. I'm done with that. Now I'm going to reach the sides, and one of my favorite things that I like to do, just to keep myself from doing too many stacked layers to the side of the head, is I divide these into 2 separate sections, and I grab the entire front panel, the underneath side of the front, and I grab the back with it as well. So I take a really large section here, and I draw everything straight out from the head, so just horizontally. And you can kind of see where that's her length, those are her layers, and that's what's in between. So that's my guide right there. And I'm gonna do the same thing here through the top. Drawing out my section, my panel, my second panel to the top. I've grabbed hair from the back from my old guide that I just did, or my new guide rather, and her old length. And same thing here, you can see there's her guide, there's her length, and I'm just cutting this portion off right through here. So that's kind of like the shortcut in finding your guide. Now I have 2 guides. I have the guide at the bottom I just cut, the guide at the top I just cut, and now I just have to transition on each side. And do the same thing on the other side of her head. So I just tilt her head sideways slightly, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm bringing all this up and over. I'm creating my panel. I lower her chair down, and I kind of wrap my body around her. So I'm going to bring this section out, panel from the very side of her head. See it right there, between her length and her layers. And then I'll do it on this side as well. And that one too, you can see a lot on that side. I'm going to do that again just so I don't lose it. Okay, now I'm going to go in through the sides of her head. Starting right behind the ear, I'm pushing everything out exterior, and I have the length that I just cut here and the length right here, where's my guide, and I'm just traveling from short to long, all cutting exterior from the head. Okay, and then I have the other side now. know what? What's fun about a shortcut like that is that I just did my cross check. My cross check is what created my layers. So after this, I'm completely done with her cut. There it is. Okay, so after I'm done, I'm gonna go ahead and blow her out. As you can see, she has a lot of hair. So when I'm done with her blowout, I'll take a picture of it and I'll just put it on my Instagram story so you guys can see it later. Thanks guys, have a good day.